Hey guys, it's Chris from Highline Guitars, and you're watching another episode of From the Luthier's Workbench. As you can tell from the title of this video, what I'm hoping to do is spark some discussion about a topic which I've been thinking about for the past couple of weeks. And it has to do with the impact of social media on the world of playing and building guitars. Has it been positive, or has it had a negative impact? And while you think about that and formulate your own response to that, and I will encourage you to post whatever your thoughts are in the comments below. But of course, remember, keep it clean, keep it civil, because I've always got my finger on the delete and block button. So anyway, let me give you a little bit of backstory so I can kind of explain my thoughts about the subject. I've been building guitars for years, and about 8 or 9 years ago, I decided to establish a presence on social media. And that, of course, meant Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Those are the big four. And one of the things that I noticed is that, and this is something we all are aware of, obviously, is that with social media, people have an insatiable need to express their opinions about pretty much anything, whether they have any facts or evidence to support their opinions. And, you know, that's why these days we have the term fake news and, you know, whatever that means. But I, at one point, decided as part of my social media experience is that I would create a Facebook group, which was called the Electric Guitar Builders Resource. And over time, that group rapidly grew in size. So what ended up happening was I was the sole admin for a group of, I think it got up to around 12,000 people when I was involved with it. And it became really difficult for me to manage that group. I didn't want to bring in other admins because the whole point of my social media presence was to promote my Highline Guitars brand, as well as to kind of help share some of the things that I've learned over the years about building guitars, the different tips and techniques, stuff that you typically can't find in books or anywhere else on the internet. Well, with the Electric Guitar Builders Resource page, it was sort of like managing a kindergarten sandbox. It just got out of control. And I had neither the patience, the temperament, or the time to moderate it. So I just bailed on it. You know, it really wasn't providing me any sort of benefit anyway. So I decided just to focus my efforts elsewhere. And one of the areas that I focused on, and it's one that I've been involved with for some time now, was my YouTube channel. And one of the things that I've learned recently about YouTube, or one of my observations about YouTube, is when I land on my YouTube homepage, and I'm not talking about my channel, YouTube always will provide a list of videos that it recommends that I watch. And this, of course, is probably derived from an algorithm which knows what I've been watching and is able to recommend what I should watch. So the list of videos that are recommended are always about playing guitars, building guitars, woodworking, tools, tips and tricks, and that sort of thing. And I've noticed over the years there has been this increasing popularity in a type of video which I like to call the Mythbuster videos. And these are videos that people will post in an effort to bust so-called myths surrounding whatever interest is the topic of their YouTube channel. And it could be anything, absolutely anything that humans are involved with, from work to whatever it is you do in your spare time, how you decorate your house, where you go on vacation, the car you drive, you know, model trains, whatever. There's a YouTube channel or several channels, and there are videos about that subject. And I think the reason why the whole Mythbuster theme has grown in popularity is because it's a way for YouTube content providers to demonstrate their knowledge and their intelligence and hopefully what separates them from everybody else so that people will watch their videos. And I would argue, based on what my observations and experience, is that if you go too far with the myth busting thing on a particular pursuit or hobby or interest or whatever, instead of creating a more intelligent consumer, you're actually making a more boring consumer. Now, let me kind of discuss that a little bit more in detail. Back in the old days, when I would take on a guitar project for a customer, the process would always start out with the customer discussing with me exactly what it is they wanted. And we would talk about the kind of woods that would be used, the material that the fret wire would be made out of, what kind of pickups, the magnets, the wire, everything. I mean, we would talk about every single little detail. And personally, I found those discussions to be really interesting and enjoyable. I love talking to customers about building their guitars. It was a way for me to help build and establish value in the end result. Well, I've noticed over the years, because of these myth-busting videos, I'm beginning to sense that they've had an impact on the consumers. I've noticed occasionally when I get a customer, and this doesn't happen all the time, it's still kind of early on, but I'm beginning to notice it. Customers seem less concerned about some of these details than they once were because people have told them on YouTube that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of wood you make the guitar out of. It doesn't matter what kind of magnets in the pickup. Now, some of this information can be backed up with actual scientific proof, and some of these videos have done an outstanding job of demonstrating and backing up the claims with evidence. But I think there gets to be a point where you have to kind of pull back and say, wait a minute, let's not bust all the myths, because we're going to end up with boring guitars. They'll end up being all the same shape. They'll all be made out of the cheapest possible woods because we've been told it doesn't matter. And in a way, this effort to educate the consumers is really creating a boring consumer and a boring experience leading up to the construction of a guitar. So it's starting to lose some of that luster. And unfortunately, I think this is something that's going to continue, but I'm not sure. And that's kind of why I wanted to pose this topic out there. I wanted to get a feel for what everyone else is sensing after watching video after video after video where the myths surrounding guitars, and not just how they're played, but how they're built, and the impacts of different components and materials on the sound and playability and that sort of thing. I want to get a feel for what you guys think about that. Are we going too far with the myth busting thing, or should we just leave some of the myths out there? I mean, really, does it matter all that much? And by getting rid of them, are we kind of spoiling some of the fun? I don't know. I kind of get the sense that we might be. So, I'm interested to see what you guys will think about that. And in a future episode of From the Luthier's Workbench, I might do a follow-up to this based on some of the feedback that I get from you, the viewer, in the comments below. And, maybe we can expand on it a little bit more. But, I kind of miss the old days when we were all somewhat ignorant about the truth. There was more fun. It was, more interesting. We could have longer and more passionate discussions about what types of wood and what types of fret wire and such that we would include in a build. And it seemed to made it more exciting. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But until the next episode, take care, and we will see you soon.